we have people like you can be able to counteract all the BS that they spread in school today, man. So you guys are just as important, man. Don't ever think otherwise.
Yep.
Isn't it great to see so many like-minded, patriotic Americans come together and take a stand for some common sense in American principles? And give yourselves a hand.
Democrats can claim to be on the side of working families, but their agenda is clear: to destroy the working class every chance they get in the name of virtue signaling. Feeling good is greater than doing good. That's the agenda of the DNC. It might as well be their motto.
Vince Dow, you're like the only Asian conservative commentator.
Hi, I'm Vince Dow, and I'm so conservative that I don't want anything to do with left. In fact, I don't even turn left when I walk.
If we're spreading this conservative message and people like Vince Dow spread the message really well, and the young people get access to this message, you're going to start doing more research and looking into these subjects.
In fact, I was following, the whole political sphere on Instagram, Vince Dow dance videos.
The more we have people like you can be able to counteract all the BS that they spread in school today, man. So you guys are just as important, man. Don't ever think otherwise.
Yep.
Isn't it great to see so many like-minded, patriotic Americans come together and take a stand for some common sense in American principles? And give yourselves a hand.
Democrats can claim to be on the side of working families, but their agenda is clear: to destroy the working class every chance they get in the name of virtue signaling. Feeling good is greater than doing good. That's the agenda of the DNC. It might as well be their motto.
Vince Dow, you're like the only Asian conservative commentator.
Hi, I'm Vince Dow, and I'm so conservative that I don't want anything to do with left. In fact, I don't even turn left when I walk.
If we're spreading this conservative message and people like Vince Dow spread the message really well, and the young people get access to this message, you're going to start doing more research and looking into these subjects.
In fact, I was following, the whole political sphere on Instagram, Vince Dow dance videos.
The more we have people like you can be able to counteract all the BS that they spread in school today, man. So you guys are just as important, man. Don't ever think otherwise.
Yep.
Isn't it great to see so many like-minded, patriotic Americans come together and take a stand for some common sense in American principles? And give yourselves a hand.
Democrats can claim to be on the side of working families, but their agenda is clear: to destroy the working class every chance they get in the name of virtue signaling. Feeling good is greater than doing good. That's the agenda of the DNC. It might as well be their motto.
Vince Dow, you're like the only Asian conservative commentator.
Hi, I'm Vince Dow, and I'm so conservative that I don't want anything to do with left. In fact, I don't even turn left when I walk.
If we're spreading this conservative message, and people like Vince Dow spread the message really well, and the young people get access to this message, you're going to start doing more research and looking into these subjects.
In fact, I was following, the whole political sphere on Instagram, Vince Dow dance videos.
The more we have people like you can be able to counteract all the BS that they spread in school today, man. So you guys are just as important, man. Don't ever think otherwise.
Yep.
Isn't it great to see so many like-minded, patriotic Americans come together and take a stand for some common sense and American principles? And give yourselves a hand.
Democrats can claim to be on the side of working families, but their agenda is clear: to destroy the working class every chance they get in the name of virtue signaling. Feeling good is greater than doing good. That's the agenda of the DNC. It might as well be their motto.
Vince Dow, you're like the only Asian conservative commentator.
Hi, I'm Vince Dow, and I'm so conservative that I don't want anything to do with left. In fact, I don't even turn left when I walk.
If we're spreading this conservative message, and people like Vince Dow spread the message really well, and the young people get access to this message, you're going to start doing more research and looking into these subjects.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my mic is live. We are live. Welcome to episode 4, right, of America Rising. I am your host, Vince Dow, and we have a special co-host this week. I don't know if co-hosting is a good idea. Like I like to be sort of by myself. Like I like rolling on my own. But we got special co-host this week, Aadi Bhanti. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, I don't know about special. I feel like I'm on the show a lot. But,
Yeah,
I
that's
love
true.
to be here. I love to be here. So, good stuff.
Hold on, let me just change this graphic real quick. Okay, so we open tonight with the topic of this week, I would definitely say Obamagate. This could be possibly bigger than Watergate. I mean, this is a gigantic political scandal. It is a story of true corruption and true collusion. Whatever the Democrats want to say, whatever they want to say about Trump is corrupt or he called the Ukrainians or something like that, this is the true story. But I am not necessarily the expert on all this investigation stuff. Aadi, you know this a lot better than me. So take it away. All right. Tell us all about the big story this week of Obamagate.
Okay, Obamagate, right? So it basically has a big part of what you need to know in the title. It's called Obamagate. President Obama is involved in the greatest political corruption scandal of all time, possibly the biggest corruption scandal we've ever seen in the United States. And I mean, I feel like after I explain all the information here, that claim is very warranted. So basically, there's three key elements to Obamagate, right? First of all, there's the whole Russia collusion hoax. And that actually, that seems like a dead story, but that actually plays a very large part into the Obamagate scandal. It's actually like the core foundation of the Obamagate scandal. And then we have the FISA warrants. The FISA warrants are kind of the method that they used to get this Russian collusion hoax into the mainstream. And then the third element was the spying on domestic Americans, American citizens without warrants, without anything, without any permission. So the spying on Americans. And, the spying wasn't really new to the Obama administration. They did it a lot. So those are the three main elements. Do you want me to just keep going, or?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the big thing this week was there was a supposed meeting right before Trump entered the White House with Comey and Obama, and they believe probably Biden. So tell us about that. Tell us about this story. And Susan Rice, tell us all about this story.
Okay. Here's the thing. That meeting, right? That meeting was basically to finalize the insurance policy before Trump finalized the narrative that they're going to be pushing out to the mainstream, to the public, right when Trump was about to take office. As you see, someone leaked the identity of General Flynn. Someone unmasked him and leaked that information to the Washington Post in early 2017 when President Trump first took office, right? And we believe it was someone at that meeting. So here's what happened at the meeting. That was basically the last hour that Susan Rice was going to be in office. The last hour of her administration, what she did. And she's basically sent out an insurance policy email to her staff. She said, hey, we just had this meeting to make sure that everything was going by the book, right? That's what she said. That's what politicians do. I've even had politicians give me that advice for myself. If you're starting a new team, tell the team, send out an email at first and send out an email at the end of the project. Say, hey, if anything ever comes out about me, don't worry, everything was by the book. We're all covered. It gives you a really good cover story. So basically at that meeting, first of all, there was the unmasking of General Flynn. They were planning that. That was one of the key things. Second, it was when Obama decided to tell President Trump, hey, don't hire Flynn. Because they had it out for Flynn because Flynn was a Trump ally and it would kind of destroy the Obama legacy, right? Because he was part of the Obama legacy, but he was an ally of Donald Trump. So Trump did not listen to the advice that Barack Obama gave him, and he hired Flynn anyway. And so this is when Obama basically instructed the FBI to do a very dirty investigation, and they created a plan to basically set up Flynn, get him fired, make sure that Trump is following Obama's legacy, firstly, and secondly, kick up the entire Russian collusion hoax. So basically, that's what the meeting was about. It was basically first to give them a cover story, second to unmask Flynn, and third for Obama to finalize his plan on how he's going to keep Flynn out of the Trump administration.
So what this is basically proving is that the entire Russian collusion story, which we already knew this, let's be honest, everyone, if you just had a pair of eyes, you could see that this was just a hack job by Obama allies that were going into the Trump administration, just trying to take him down. But the media acted like, no, it's an independent investigation based on real evidence. Like,
it was a bunch of Obama holdovers. It was a bunch of Obama holdovers. That's exactly the problem.
It was a political hit job by the Obama administration to take down Trump. I mean, right? That's basically proving what.
I wouldn't even call it a hit job, dude. I would call it a train wreck. I mean, not even a train wreck. It's like, here's Trump. Here's a freaking massive cargo train just slamming right into him, dude. Okay, this comment is like idiotic. But anyway, it's not even a hit job. These were all Obama holdovers. They were pissed that Flynn was an ally of Trump, even though he was part of the Obama legacy, and they did everything they can to take him down. But what a lot of conservatives and Republicans like you and I are mistaking, and I'm not one of those people, but there's a lot of people like us that are mistaking this. They think that Flynn was the target. Flynn was not the target. Flynn was one of the stepping stones to get to the real target, which was the takedown of the will of the American people, the president, Donald J. Trump. That's the real target. So we need to stop acting like Flynn was the target. Flynn's just a stepping stone. I feel really bad for the man, what happened to him, what happened to his family, what happened to his finances. We got to realize that Trump was the real target here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, I think some people have been asking in the chat right now, like, are we going to be able to arrest Obama? And that's not going to happen. But I think like the main thing is, how are we going to basically use this in 2020 to our advantage? Because that's all we can do. I mean, that's all we can do. All we can do is say, hey, look, Joe Biden was in on this. Most likely. I mean, it's pretty obvious he wasn't.
Proven.
Right?
It's actually proven that Joe Biden was in on this.
Okay.
He was in 2 of the meetings. He was actually in the final meeting. And he was actually one of the people that signed off on the unmasking. So yeah, Joe Biden was very, very involved, you know.
And then he claimed, right, on it was ABC with George Stephanopoulos, he claimed he knew nothing about it, correct?
Yeah, but I mean, it's very possible that Joe Biden forgot.
It is very possible.
Is not fully mentally there. But, you know, I think the reason Joe Biden was so severely involved in the process is to kind of cover up Obama, because we all know that the FBI really can't spy on domestic targets like U.S. nationals without the president's approval in most cases. And, you know, Obama was the one like kind of letting these fake FISA warrants. And this brings me to the next thing, the FISA warrants. They got the Steele dossier, right? The Steele dossier. British spy paid for by the Clinton campaign. That evidence came out because he actually testified that Fusion GPS and the Clinton campaign were like this. They were tied together. The Steele dossier was paid for by the Clinton campaign, but it was actually used in a court of law. But I wouldn't call it a court of law anymore after what happened. So the Obama administration, and specifically Susan Rice, and fun fact, I actually know her address, but I have a friend who's her neighbor. But anyway, fun fact, and she actually lives in one of the most conservative communities in the country. But Susan Rice, right? She handpicked pieces of the Steele dossier and left out evidence, hypocritical evidence, right? Evidence that would prove what she said wrong. She left that out and she submitted FISA warrants. And, you know, you have to submit the truth and the whole truth. And she really glossed over a lot of the truth and she submitted these fake FISA warrants. And that's what Durham is looking into right now. So, you know, the FISA warrants really play a big part in this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, FISA, I don't like the idea of FISA courts to begin with.
I agree.
But when you have this is the threat actually going into 2020 is, let's say theoretically Joe Biden wins the presidency. We have seen the evil that these judges and these political hacks that are in our intelligence community can do if they take office. And that's probably the single most important reason why we need Trump to win in 2020, not because of any policy issue, but because Biden would pack our courts and our intelligence agencies with these bad people who do not care anything for justice or anything for like civil liberties or the American people whatsoever.
Yeah. And here's the thing, you know, Joe Biden, he would directly violate the rights of the American people, Fourth Amendment and more. So if we look back at the Obama presidency, let's just take a quick look back at the Obama presidency. Spying on American citizens using their intelligence committee, the Obama Intelligence Committee, which was one of the most corrupt. I mean, we both know that, you know, John Brennan, whatever, you know, they spied on Americans all the time. You know, the 2 Associated Press journalists, many members that they even thought were allied with the Trump campaign. They even spied on congressmen who were saying publicly that they were going to vote against the Iran nuclear deal. All of this is usually like looked down upon, you know, in some cases illegal. But, you know, they didn't care. The Obama administration was the most corrupt administration, and I feel totally fine saying that. Obama administration was the most corrupt administration of all time. They spied on American citizens. And, you know, Joe Biden, his entire campaign's like, I will be the next 8 years of our next 4 years of Obama. Well, Joe, no one wants that. Okay. They violate our civil liberties. They ruined the intelligence committee. They corrupt it with a bunch of political hacks, as you said. So, I mean, 4 years of Joe Biden, or even worse, 8 years of Joe Biden, would basically completely, first of all, ruin the integrity of our elections more than the Russians ever could threaten to do. And it would really just take away the meaning of the Fourth Amendment.
And we cannot understate the importance of the media in all this. Okay, the media sold these lies again and again for like 2 straight years. Like, all you saw every night, the opening headline on CNN was something about Trump-Russia collusion, even though it was like a week's old news or whatever. They just could not stop talking about this. And they ridiculed anyone who basically saw through this for the sham that it was, totally ridiculed them. And suddenly now they're deafeningly silent. When the true Russia collusion story reaches its true end, like this is the conclusion of what happened. The media is totally silent. You have Brian Stelter, that's his name, right? The bald-headed guy on CNN basically saying there are 800,000 whatever Americans have died so far. we need to stop talking about this Michael Flynn story like it's the most important thing. Yeah, well, guess what? While the economy was doing amazing in the country, with so many important things were happening in the country, the only thing the freaking media could talk about was this BS Russian collusion story that was totally and so obviously a hoax and a political hack job from the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the media is complicit in a lot of things, and I feel like we just let them get away with it. You know, there's only so much people like me and you can do, Vince.
Yeah.
You know, we can post on social media. We can have hundreds of thousands, millions of people posting on social media, but the media is the media. They're heavily funded. The public still generally, I mean, they might not have a favorable view of them, but you know, where else are they going to get their news? The majority of the adult public doesn't use Twitter and things like that. You know, the media has so much power. Unchecked power. They're controlled by these massive corporations they're very left leaning, funded by Soros, and you know Soros is a globalist elite moron. You know, the media goes like 10 rows deep into this. You know, and any sane person could see right through the Russia collusion hoax, and sane people who vote Democrat and believed it. You know, I think they just didn't want to see the truth, to be honest. You know. They made this huge thing out of $200,000 worth of Facebook ads. Okay. And, you know, we don't want that. But then they said, oh, Trump paid for those. You know, Trump wanted the Russians to run the Facebook ads for him, right? And the Russians wanted Trump. Well, now we know that the Steele dossier, which kind of proved all of this, was fake, written by a British spy and paid for by the Clinton campaign. That kind of just takes away all legitimacy of the stupid dossier, which this entire thing was founded upon. And the media, for 2.5 years, they would not shut up about the Russia thing.
Nope, they would not shut the hell up, right?
Dude, every single day, there's some new stupid headline. It's like the same headline over and over again. Trump colludes with Russia. Russia wants Trump. Like, no, okay, he won, you lost. Get over it. You know, if you look, that's infamous Donald Trump Jr. quote. But you know, we won, you lost. Get over it. But if you actually look at the facts here, it was just an absolute pile of bullshit. Like it was like a giant piece of just garbage, dude. I mean, what are these people promoting here? I mean, you cannot trust the mainstream media.
Well, you know what does give me hope though, okay, is that it seems to me that the American people are tuning out the American media, because for 3-4 weeks, we basically heard about how the Trump response to coronavirus was a failure and Trump's a failure and everything's going to fall apart. The people are going to totally reject them this November. Well, guess what? We had 2 big elections this week, okay, on Tuesday. In California, 25, and Wisconsin, 7. These are both swing districts, okay? These were very key districts, basically saying a lot of experts think, okay, this is basically going to determine how the swing states are going to go in the general, because they're very swing districts, okay?
California is not even a swing state.
I know, but it's a swing district, right?
Yeah,
it's a swing district. So this week we had, and the media was going crazy. I saw a headline the day before this election saying 2 big elections could hint toward a blue wave in 2020. And the article was so freaking arrogant, talking about how the American people all think the coronavirus response was a failure and all this stuff, generic mainstream media talking points. Well, guess what? Republican candidates, Mike Garcia in California 25, Tom Tiffany in Wisconsin 7, won big in both of these elections. And it wasn't like a close little election like landslide. No.
It was like 20%.
These were swing districts, and both margins were extremely, extremely convincing. Aadi, do you think this is a telling sign for 2020? I mean, I genuinely think that this is just a sign that these idiots in the media don't know what they're doing. They don't understand the American people, and the American people are tuning them out, most importantly.
Yeah, look, if you look at CA 25, California 25, that district has not been held by Republicans since 1991, I believe, 1991. Forever. That district is not held by a Republican in forever. And especially in these hyper-polarized times where we see these headlines like Republicans are all racist, the Republicans are complicit in the deaths of 81,000 Americans. The Republicans hate women. The Republicans hate gays. We hate trans people. We hate everyone, right? The Republicans are these evil people that only serve transnational corporations, where actually it's the Democrats that serve the transnational corporations. Anyway, after years of having this lie driven into their head, I feel like people in that district in California finally realized, okay, let's do some research. Let's look at the facts. And Mike Garcia won by literally 20%. You don't see those kinds of numbers for a Republican in California. No matter what district you go to, you go to the reddest district. You can go to even Orange County where there's like a Democrat right now, but still, even in the past, you do not see a Republican winning by 20% in a swing district in California ever. You just don't. And now I think this is a huge mandate for the Republican Party. And one thing I'm concerned about is, they're not going to do enough to seize the opportunity. I think as a party, they need to start putting a lot more effort into advertising and marketing because, that's what we suck at. The GOP sucks. Without Trump, the GOP sucks at all advertising efforts. They're old style. No one cares. No one wants to hear the stupid narrator over. People want to hear Trump and his style of advertising. And that's what the Democrats are really good at. They're really good at advertising to young people, especially. But I think this is a mandate, and I hope that the Republican Party can seize the opportunity.
By the way, guys, quick story time about this election. Okay, so obviously I go to school in Los Angeles, right? So I had a kid from my school. This kid is like my political rival at school, even though he's like 20 followers on Twitter. He was so smug because he worked for Christy Smith's campaign, which is the opponent against Mike Garcia in California 25. So smug. He talked so much crap. So back in March, he basically talked all this crap about how he was working for Christy Smith's campaign and Christy Smith was going to win because they were going to help make sure the district didn't turn red. Well, yesterday, or not yesterday, like 2 days ago, I tweeted back. I scrolled all the way down to that tweet and I tweeted back at him. I said, how did that go? ? No response. Okay. I got blocked on Twitter by like my arch rival. It was hilarious. Okay. Just a story time for all of you guys. It was absolutely hilarious. Do you think that we could be looking at like the GOP retaking the House in 2020? Because this is a really good start. I mean, we won these elections by solid margins. And I think, you look at what this Democrat House has done. Nothing. They just impeached Trump. That was it. They impeached Trump and obstructed the coronavirus relief. That was it. Well, a big reason why the Republicans lost the House in 2018 was because they couldn't get Obamacare done. They couldn't get anything done, right? It was a useless House for all the way up until
it sucked. We had a Republican president, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House, and they didn't do anything. And I think that's the problem with the establishment. Establishment's going to establishment, as I say. They just don't care. Like they could care less about passing a healthcare plan or an immigration plan or a tax plan, which they finally did. But they just didn't care, and that's the problem. Nothing happened in those 2 years. Everything was either an executive order or basically pressure from the White House: vote this way, vote this way, vote this way. But now I think like people like Mike Garcia, people like Esther Joy King, people like I forgot her name, man. Oh my gosh. Taylor in Alabama District 2, Jessica Taylor in Alabama District 2, people like that, actual people that belong to the MAGA party, the MAGA party.
Yeah, the MAGA party.
The Republican Party, the MAGA party, which is what matters. That's the only way you can win now. It's the equivalent of the Bernie campaign of the right, except a little bit like less extreme and crazy. But, we see these actual MAGA people that are coming up, and that's how we're going to win these elections. We're not going to win these elections with guys like Paul Ryan, That's just not how it works. And Paul Ryan was a big reason why like a lot of this just sucked. So I think we have a very good chance of retaking the House, very big chance of retaking the House, and we got to regain some ground, and we got to campaign hard. If we don't campaign harder than ever before, I think that might be a last straw for this country.
That's a great point you made about MAGA, because I did an interview with our friend Gabriel Charles this week where he basically sort of grilled me on this. Like, do you really think MAGA is the way forward for conservatism? I told him yes, because we cannot go back to the party of Bush, and we really can't even go back to the party of Reagan, because as great as Reagan was, it was a different time. He was not living in a time where the media was this bad or everything was just basically out to kill him, like the way it is now for Republicans. And just that approach to things doesn't work anymore. Like we're in a new era. We need a movement that actually has a pair, right? And that's what MAGA has. This establishment doesn't know what they're doing. Like look at our party in 2012. We put Mitt Romney up on there. He looked like Reagan and talked like Reagan, but guess what? This isn't the Reagan years anymore. Okay, the media chewed him up, ate him up. He didn't do anything about it, and he basically just let himself get it walked over.
Yeah. Okay. Here's the thing: establishment versus MAGA, right?
Yeah.
MAGA will always reign supreme. Okay. If you look at New York, we have these characters like Vish Burra. Vish Burra, he's probably one of the most effective political operatives. He's up and coming. He's a legend, dude. Vish Burra. This guy is epic. He works for Steve Bannon, and he's the vice president of the New York Young Republicans Club. So the New York Young Republicans Club was the most prestigious club in New York and in the country for Republicans, the New York Republican Club. Most prestigious in the country, these old style, wear your tuxedo, go for a nice fancy brunch and dinner or whatever, Republican clubs, esteemed billionaires and millionaires only type stuff. Vishbura, this kid, high school dropout, went to some like community college eventually, got his GED, whatever. This guy, he's the MAGA party. He is the definition of MAGA. He was in competition with a literal billionaire to take over the club as president with his friend Gavin Wax, another very skilled political operative. He was against a billionaire, but their MAGA ideology and the way they think and the way they work and the way they fought won them that club. And then on the other side of that, and I'm talking about young conservatives here, we have people, and I hate to name drop, but we have people like Cameron Arcand, okay? People who want to go back to the 1970s.
Hey,
I
didn't say that.
Yeah,
right?
no, I have a lot of respect for the guy. He
Yeah.
writes some good stuff. But people want to go back to this old age of conservatism where we play all nice.
It doesn't. It's a different world. You have to adapt.
Yeah, what people like that are failing to understand is they don't want to play nice with us. Okay,
No, they don't.
They want to kill us. They want us gone forever. We want to stay, and the only way is MAGA hardcore. I see a lot of headlines like conservatism after Trump. Conservatism after Trump is still the MAGA doctrine, right? So, and that's just my stance on it. We need more MAGA instead of less MAGA.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, I want to get to our next segment, we just did a segment about some politicians winning elections in California, Wisconsin. But let me change the banner real quick. We have this story this week, and this is kind of a funny story right here on literally this guy. Okay. And Aadi, I know I didn't tell you about this because I just an interview segment, but this guy may literally be one of the worst politicians in the entire United States. Okay, he's a mayor like near Los Angeles. Okay, Maywood, California. He's a mayor, Democrat, and he basically. So a lot of his constituents have been upset about stay-at-home orders, right? And whether or not you can agree, disagree, but these are legitimate concerns. He had like his own mainly Latino, so it wasn't a white supremacist thing, but he tweeted out this, he posted this picture of a white supremacist, basically portraying the rallies as these white supremacist rallies. And people were like, hey, that's not true. I mean, we were there, they were civil and all this. And the mayor first of all, insulted these people like crazy, blocked them, and then he made his account private. And we're going to play this interview right now. This is crazy. Okay, this is I would argue one of the worst politicians in the United States of America.
Vince, you're muted.
What happened?
So basically what happened was, I know you follow me, I follow you, and, I have a little bit of a following on Instagram. And so, I'm sure you're not new to this, but what ends up happening is a lot of our followers kind of send us interesting stuff happening in their communities. And, living in California, there was a follower of mine that sent me something that their mayor had posted. This is the mayor of Maywood. And I forget exactly what his name is, but he had posted a little sketch cartoon of like the protests that were going on in California. So for those of you tuning in, maybe don't know what's happening in California, I think it's been like week 4, week 5 now that there's been like large protests and rallies, demonstrations in major cities. This is like Bakersfield, Riverside. This is Los Angeles, especially Sacramento, which is, our state capital. And it's to reopen California. And there's like this huge misconception that even the mainstream media is playing their hand in to create this narrative that it's only like white people protesting. And, I've been going to these protests. At first, I kind of went like as like a rally goer, but then I kind of noticed that when I came back home, I hadn't really taken like footage or anything really of the protesters. But when I got to see the footage on KTLA, ABC7, and even like some of the Spanish media, they were making it seem like it was only Huntington Beach, which a lot of people know is predominantly, white area. And they made it seem like they were protesting that they're not able to get haircuts. And I was there. I know why I was there. I know why a lot of, and the thing is that a lot of these protesters, they're not, it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's just like, we just want to go back to work. So anyways, this mayor, he ended up posting a cartoon of like Huntington Beach, white people. Some of them had like, Nazi insignias on their sleeve, all this stuff, and just kind of making this narrative that the people protesting are, these white Nazi protesters protesting getting haircuts. And like the caption kind of read, it must be like privileged to be white and not care about your health and wanting to put, people of color's health at risk just so you can go out and get a haircut. And so, of course, this constituent felt, personally attacked because they had been rallying and making it seem like, hey, like I'm your constituent. Like I put you into office. We voted for you. And you're making it seem like this is who we all are. And that's not the case at all. So, the person sent it to me and they're like, hey, can you kind of like go back and forth with this guy? Maybe he'll respond to you. And so I went into the mayor of Maywood's Instagram, and I was very respectful. I took screenshots of everything, and I was on there and I was like, sir, he's a Hispanic guy. Sir, there's a lot of your constituents that are pretty upset about what's happening with these shutdowns. They think that it's a complete government overreach and they just want to be able to go back to work. And immediately he just started berating me because my name is conservative Latino on mine. So people have like this misconception that because you are conservative, it means you're a Republican, but one's a lifestyle and one's a political party. We just so happen to vote Republican and overwhelmingly because the left has gone far left. But anyway, he just started name calling and kind of basically saying like, oh, here comes the MAGA-tards and all this stuff. I forget exactly what.
Yeah, I saw the thread. He was so freaking aggressive and belligerent and just straight up slandered you so many times. It was ridiculous. But sorry, keep going. Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. He just kept like name calling and like mislabeling and stuff. And I was just trying to stay very respectful to the guy. And, I was just like, dude, this is not about even like Trump. Like, this is just about people being unable to go back to work. And, this was like on a Sunday, I believe. So, I was just like, man, like this guy talks like this on a Sunday. Like I had some of the followers say like, this guy must be high or drunk because, or does he just like normally talk like this to people, And I just found it very weird that for a mayor, this is how he's talking to people, and it's like, again, you could always counter it with like, well, that's the way Trump does it. And I'm like, yeah, but isn't that why people hate him? Because he talks to people like that, right? So it was just really interesting to see like this progressive liberal, take the higher road, treat every person of color equally, whatever, talk to people of color like that. And so like when I posted that on my social media, people started chiming in. They kind of went on there. They kind of went on the offense saying like, hey, this guy actually runs a social media account. And he was actually able to document even some of the videos, sharing the stories of the people there, some of them being immigrants themselves. Even some undocumented, I was able to document them and get them kind of talking about how this shutdown is affecting them. There's no money for them. Even legal immigrant owners, business owners, they're being affected. They don't qualify for, the PPP plan, which basically the Paycheck Protection Plan. And, a lot of people don't qualify, and so they just want to go back to work. And so I just kind of went on there to kind of, hey, if you need these stories, if you need me to share these videos with you so that you can actually update your people that this is what's really going on, I'd be happy to share it. And he's like, oh, don't send me crap. You just have your own narrative and you just want people to die. And I'm just like, oh my goodness gracious, man. Like it just got really, really heated to the point where a lot of my followers got engaged and he ended up having to block people, delete messages, and then he ended up eventually just blocking myself from his page. And then he went on private so that nobody else was able to go in there, which I think that as a public servant, you're not allowed to have a private page. And also you can't be blocking people, especially people that voted for you.
Yeah. So just to give people the background. So he basically like blocked everyone that started criticizing him, which there's severe issues with this, right? Because he's a public figure, he's a public servant, And a strong argument could be made, and there have been lawsuits done of public servants who have done this, where the argument basically is, as an elected official, the people have a right to access basically what you're saying, what you're doing. They have a right to access you, right? So first of all, making your account private, ridiculous, but also just blocking people, even your own constituents, for criticizing you. I would argue, I mean, that there's a severe legality issue for that. Anyways, what I have on the screen right now, I DM'd him. And I DM'd him, imagine slandering, then blocking people who disagree with you. Imagine making your account private as a public official. And then I said, you're a pathetic joke and you stand for nothing, because at this point he was saying all sorts of crazy crap that was like against you. And I said, why don't you actually defend your beliefs instead of resorting to demagoguery and slander of your own residents that are struggling to put food on the table? And why don't you defend your beliefs instead of blocking citizens who disagree with them? And so in the course of about 30 seconds, I was blocked. Like, I just clicked on his profile, like 30 seconds later, it was gone. So, I mean, is there a conclusion to this story, basically, of this joke of an elected official?
Well, I think that it just kind of proves the power of we the people, right? That we can go on there and we can. A lot of us were very civil. There was even like a comment that I left under him. I'm like, hey, look, I don't care how you identify politically. If you really care for your people, why don't we sit down? I'm an activist. I have dozens of stories to share with you so that we can change the narrative. Maybe you can reach out to the people and, let's find some middle ground. It doesn't have to look my way. It doesn't have to look your way, but what you're saying is false. And the thing is that when you put something like that as a mayor, that if you are out there complaining or protesting that you're a white Nazi, I had literal constituents tell me I don't feel comfortable complaining to him anymore, because if I tell him my concern, I don't want him to think that I'm a white Nazi haircut protester. And that's a pretty serious issue when you have your own voters afraid of speaking to you about their problems, about not being able to open their business, about not being able to provide for their families, put food on the table, like you said, right? That's a problem. Because what's the point of having these people represent you if they're not going to listen to you, and they're already kind of putting this, preconceived notion that if you do contact him about your problems, that you're no different from these white Nazi haircut protesters. So, we were looking at taking legal action. I have been in touch with some lawyers. Because apparently there are some like laws and stuff where if you're a public servant, you cannot be private, first of all. And secondly, you cannot be blocking anybody, let alone the people that voted for you. I mean, that it's about transparency, right? You can have a bone to pick with me. You can have a bone to pick, but literally people would just comment, preach with like the hands up like that, like the hands that, like, preach, and blocked. Just for saying like preach or like truth, again, I went through the comments myself. I was very cordial. I was very respectful. There was a couple times I did call him a clown because he was making very he was saying
he was just straight up slandering you. It was just ridiculous.
Exactly. And then the fact that I was like, I'm like, look, I know we're kind of getting off the wall here with what we're going back and forth, but let's have some middle ground. And he's like, there's no middle ground with people like you, and I'm like,
people like you. It's like,
supposed to mean? Like,
people it's a great way to talk to people, right? As a public official.
Right. Like, I'm a father of 3. I'm a veteran. I worked the border. Like, I was against human trafficking. Like, all I've done since I was like 17 is try to help my community, So it's like, what kind of person? So then what kind of people do you talk to, to try to find solutions? And so, of course, no surprise, instead of wanting to apologize or have dialogue, he just blocked everybody that he disagrees with. Deleted all the comments, but of course I took screenshots of everything. And so I think that I'm not one to go after people or demand that they listen to me, or that had he ignored me, whatever, it is what it is. But again, the reason I reached out was because it was his own constituents saying like, hey man, like you need to reach out to this guy and talk to him. Maybe he'll listen to you because you have a larger platform, you're an activist, you're a chairman to a political group, maybe he'll listen to you with all your titles and stuff. But that showed to be not the case at all, and so here we are.
And just to remind people, right, this is the mayor of Maywood, right? Maywood, California.
Maywood.
Yeah,
I know.
I mean,
it's crazy. Like I've never had. I mean, we were out at Mayor Garcetti's house the day before Mother's Day, May 9th.
Yeah.
Imagine if he were to come out and tweet that there's a bunch of white racist Nazis protesting outside of a house, and then he started, or him coming out of his house, you know, that we were protesting outside. Of course, he wasn't there because obviously they give him heads up. Hey, just to let you know, there's going to be a protest right outside your residence. Don't be home. It makes sense, you know, and it's about the symbolism, really, right? That we're out there protesting. But imagine had he been home and he just coming out and saying like we're all Nazis. You know, like I at that same protest, I documented Spanish-speaking immigrants that were just Catholics. They had no political affiliation. They're not Democrats. They're not Republicans. They actually don't even vote. They're just strong Catholics who want their churches to be open because they feel that that's what's going to help them through this trying time. And they were just saying, you know, if we can go to Walmart, why can't we go to church and pray, you know, and have our Sunday service? So, you know, imagine him coming out, Eric Garcetti, the mayor, and calling everyone a white Nazi. Like, how bad is that? You know, and I mean, that's exactly what this guy did. He came out and called us all liars, all Nazis, and saying there's no middle ground for people like me. You know?
And the thing is that's dangerous. Also, very dangerous rhetoric as a public official, basically calling such a huge part of your constituency white supremacists and Nazis, because that implies like what should people do to respond to these people, right? If they're literally Nazis out there, you know, reenacting Birth of a Nation on Huntington Beach, like that's a serious problem. But anyways, I wanted to ask you real quick. I guess you could talk a little bit about this. So Tuesday, we had a big victory. California 25, Mike Garcia beat Christy Smith. It's the first time a Republican has flipped a House seat from blue to red since 1998 in the state of California. I know your organization is very involved in on the ground trying to get Republicans elected in California. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so I'm the chairman to the Republican Hispanic Assembly of California. It was actually a nationwide. We have the national team, and then we have state chapters. It was founded back in the 1960s, and it was because they noticed that a lot of the Latinos and Hispanics that were moving into the U.S., maybe a lot different today, but back then they noticed that we were very conservative in nature. And, you know, Ronald Reagan, I believe, said, Latinos are Republican, they just don't know it yet. And that has always been like the number one question, right? Like, well, if Hispanics or Latinos are conservative, which we are overwhelmingly, why doesn't that translate to a Republican vote? Mm-hmm. And I think that, again, as I mentioned earlier, conservatism is a lifestyle. Republican is a political party. And I think that what it is, or what we're trying to do is we're trying to remind Hispanics, Latinos that we do need to go out and vote, because a lot of us do not vote, especially millennials and younger. It's the policies that the left is passing right now. Those are not the policies that align with who we are. A lot of us identify as Catholic or Christian, and the policies that the left is trying to pass right now. I don't know if you remember the soundbite that went pretty viral with Beto O'Rourke when he was asked, I think it was a CNN town hall, saying that if the church, he didn't say mosque or anything else, he just said the church, meaning like Catholic, Christian, did not align themselves with LGBT agenda, should we pull the tax exempt status from the churches? And he said, hell yes, like absolutely. And I mean, that's just going to be a slippery slope, right? It's going to be the taxes. Then what's next? Are we going to start arresting pastors? And so, I kind of retweeted that with the soundbite of him saying this is a direct attack on all Latinos and Hispanics that identify as Christian or Catholic, which in the U.S. alone, I mean, Mexican, my family's from Mexico. Mexico alone their nationals identifies over 90% Catholic or Christian. In the U.S., over 75% of all Hispanics and Latinos, not just Mexicans, identify as Christian or Catholic. And so I was just like, that's a direct attack on us. And why are people not paying attention? And so that's kind of like what our organization does. We go to different cities. We've been to Hawthorne. We've been to San Diego. Lots of events in Los Angeles. We're trying to host some far up north as well. But we're trying to open up chapters in every county in California. We just launched our first one in Orange County, and we're helping the Republicans hopefully secure the seat there to turn Orange County back to red. Right. And that's what we do. We're deeply tied in with the 10 flippable seats. I know the Daily Wire came out saying that there's 10 very flippable seats. Like all you got to do is just go out and vote the same way we did March 3rd, and we'll flip them. And then there's very close seats as well that we can definitely overturn. And so that's us. California is 40% Hispanic and Latino. And so, I mean, if my organization alone, with allies and stuff, we can get that 40. If we can secure that 40% to just vote Republican or just vote informed, Like, it's not like I'm asking people, please vote Republican because all of your life issues will be saved. No, absolutely not. Like, government will never be able to satisfy our needs of every day, right? But it'll definitely make it easier for us to live a successful life in the state that's completely blue, and that it has the highest cost of living, highest homelessness. You know, and now we're asking for trillions of dollars. Gavin Newsom asking for trillions of dollars more to bail us out, right? So again, it's just kind of to like kind of bring balance to the state and to even voters, that we do need to have. We need to be a lot more purple, and whenever we need to vote red, and whenever ever, I don't really see it, but if there's ever a Democrat that's a little bit more moderate, you know, then we can vote those policies in. There has been some policies that Democrats passed. I'm like, okay, you know what, this one actually makes sense. But unfortunately, I have yet to see that as of recent. And, you know, for the most part, I vote Republican. But that is what we're hyper focused on with the Hispanic Assembly. And that's what we're doing.
And congrats to everyone who is involved in the Mike Garcia campaign on the victory. All right, Anthony,
thanks.
It was great having you on, and thanks for coming on. Okay, so straight up, that was just a crappy politician. Like the politician we were just talking about, absolutely terrible. Let me tell you something though. These elections are very important. Okay, getting involved in local politics, even in a state as blue as California, very, very important. Okay, because even if, like, I'm not saying I think California will be turned red in presidential politics anytime soon, because that's probably not happening, right? But this stuff is important. Like these local elections are important. Your mayoral election, the state representative, like, because your state house, your governor, your blue governor can't get anything done without the help of his state house. So the state assembly elections, very, very important. But now that we just talked about a really bad politician, I want to talk about some really good politicians. And by the way, these people are not even politicians, I would say, but they are amazing. So this is what I've been waiting to talk about all night. Elon Musk and Dave Portnoy, okay? And the team up for Portnoy Musk 2024. Aadi, do you want to take this one, or you want me to take this one?
I can start, but I mean, this is the best thing to ever happen on Twitter. You know, it's really depressing that Elon Musk was not born in the United States. He's born in South Africa, which kind of sucks because we can never have Elon Musk as a president. But Elon Musk has been on a absolutely epic and based tirade on Twitter recently. I mean, it feels like the old Trump days. You know, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, you know, Dave Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports, absolute legend, he tweeted out a video of him just absolutely ranting, like a vulgar rant about the Democrats. Like, when the hell did flattening the curve turn into finding the cure? This is absolutely outrageous. People are effing losing their jobs, whatever. And Elon Musk commented under this video, he said, all politicians and bureaucrats who are making everyone, you know, stay in their houses should be tarred and feathered in the public square. I mean, this just made my day. And also Elon Musk has literally said, you know, I'm opening my factory. My county doesn't want me to, but like they can arrest me if they want. I don't care. You know, I'm moving to Texas, guys. You know, I mean, Elon Musk is an absolute legend. I mean, he's done so much innovation-wise, and now he's doing so much to sway public opinion on this. And then there's Dave Portnoy, absolute legend in so many ways. You know, stock market, pizza reviews, Barstool Sports, flags. Flags. You know, he's like the trendsetter for the boys. Like the boys get all their trends from Dave Portnoy, and like all the absolute tech legend based in epic people get all their stuff from Elon Musk. So like the combination of these two, I mean, it's like a powerful alpha male, just like juice, man. It's like, to me, it's like exactly what we needed.
It's an amazing week to have this flag, definitely. So let's go over what happened here. So first, Elon Musk said, you know what, screw your California coronavirus lockdowns. I have this 40-page report of how I can reopen the Tesla factories so that they're safe. And the Alameda health officials in California, the Democrats, still said no. And so Elon Musk was like, So Elon Musk was firstly like, F you, I'll move to Texas. But then he was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to reopen my factories no matter what. And because it's Elon Musk, because no one can touch Elon Musk, the health officials backed down. And that was absolutely fantastic. And then totally disconnected from that, Dave Portnoy releases this video basically saying that, like, what is going on here? Like, we were told we're just flattening the curve, and now we're locked down forever. Like, we're not going to find the cure, yada, yada, yada. And then it's like the epic crossover of the century, because Elon Musk responds to basically this whole thing on Twitter with Dave Portnoy saying, you need to run for office. And then Portnoy responds with this. He's like, Portnoy Musk 2024. Put in the chat right now if you would vote for this Portnoy Musk 2024 ticket. It sucks that Elon's not born in the United States, so we can, I guess we can put Dana White or some other absolute alpha male in there. But yeah, put it in the chat right now. Would you vote for?
Let's skip over the part where Elon Musk said that every public official propagating this propaganda should be tarred and feathered in the public square. I mean, what in the world? Dude, I mean, it was amazing. It was like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my entire life.
And you know what else is amazing about it? Okay, these are like, this is the difference between beta celebrities and alpha celebrities, okay? Because the beta celebrities are just all getting together to sing a John Lennon song about communism together, making all these cringe videos and saying, stay home, and then making the stupid stuff like, hey, look, we're just the same as you. We're also stuck at home, yada. Okay, the Chads, the alpha male Chads, were like, screw you. This is like, there's no common sense going on here whatsoever. We're going to step our hat into politics. Elon Musk is like, let's tar and feather these public officials. This is total tyranny. Speaking revolutionary language. Portnoy going off on his usual cussing rants, but it was freaking amazing. And I've never been prouder to have the Saturdays are for the boys flags official from Barstool Sports. Now I should get like an Elon Musk thing to put like on top of it. I don't know. Aadi,
flag, man.
Get a what? Tesla flag? Yeah. I should get a Tesla flag and like put it on the side. That'd be freaking awesome.
I hope Barstool starts selling Portnoy Musk flags. That would be something I would buy. It would be hanging up right behind me. You know, every time I make a appearance on something, we're gonna see Portnoy Musk in big letters. This is just so amazing. Like, I don't even know what else to say about it. I mean, what? Like, when I saw that I didn't even see it from trending or anywhere else. I was actually organically scrolling through Twitter. I follow Portnoy and Musk. I saw the Portnoy video. I click it, I watch it, and I was just like absolutely laughing. And I was like, wow, this is so true. It actually made me a little bit angry. And then I was going through the comments. I was like, holy shit, Elon Musk commented on Dave Portnoy's video on Twitter. And that blew my mind. And then I saw Elon Musk, and then I actually proceeded to read the comment. And then my head just exploded. Tarred and feathered, run for all. I mean, insane. It was amazing.
All right, someone just asked, what's his kid's name? His kid's name is like XAI-A12. That's his freaking name.
The AE is pronounced Shay. So it's X Shay A12. A12 is the name of their favorite plane. And X stands for love, and Shay stands for, I don't remember what that stands for, but like, you know, he's just a little different, you know. Elon.
See, okay, here's the thing about Elon Musk, though, right? Is something important we should point out. He's not like a hardline conservative. Like he's just sort of like a politically independent guy. Like he has some bipartisan beliefs. So when he's out here saying that these policies are ridiculous, listen to him, because it's not coming from any point where he's trying to make some political statement. Like he's literally just saying, one of the smartest guys in the world, just saying like, this is stupid. What are we doing, right? And I'd argue actually the same thing about Portnoy, right? He's just a businessman, and he was saying that if I was starting out Barstool Sports right now, he basically said like it'd be like I would lose everything, right? He
would rather kill himself,
yeah,
than have to like lose his business due to coronavirus. I'm pretty sure those are his exact words.
Yeah, and I mean these are not highly political people. These are just smart businessmen with common sense saying what the hell is going on with the economy. But Elon Musk has been on fire. Because remember, a month or so before this, CNN tweeted out this totally bogus story about how Tesla didn't actually send any of the ventilators, and Elon Musk was like, "Screw you, I have receipts. They did." Elon Musk, man, he's been on fire, and it's because, like I said, he's not a conservative. It's just the fact that the media and everyone in this has just been so freaking illogical and nonsensical that he's just like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to listen to the guy. He might be one of the smartest people living today. Also, you know, another thing, you know, we need more people like Elon Musk and Dave Portnoy speaking out. And, you know, I'm tired of seeing these elitist doctors. And I know this is going to piss a lot of people off, but doctors, right? Oh, I'm a medical professional. I'm an expert on coronavirus. Actually, no, you're not. No one is an expert on coronavirus. Also, if you look at states that have opened up, numbers are still consistently going down. The reason why we keep adding cases is because we're testing at like triple and quadruple the pace as everyone else. But you have these elitist doctors. It's like the medical cult. You know, they're like, oh, no, we have to stay at home. But these people are on secure, high-paying jobs, unlike literally the majority of the country. And you know, the reason I'm talking about the elitist doctors is because I get a lot of them commenting on my Instagram posts nowadays, because I've been talking about coronavirus a lot on Instagram, and I see these people commenting on my posts like, what are you talking about? Like, oh no, we have to stay at home. Like, you want people to die? You have a death wish? No, I don't have a death wish. I just don't want poverty to become the new normal. Columbia University study. Columbia is one of the most esteemed institutions in the country. 4.5% of deaths in the U.S. are linked directly to poverty. 4.5%. If poverty becomes the new normal for the 22 million, or actually now 32 million people that are unemployed, I still say 22 million, but it's actually 32 million. 4.5% of that is way more than any amount of coronavirus deaths predicted in any model. And, these people are like saying all this stuff. Well, they're not really affected by it. They're still working. They have high paying, secure jobs. And, they think they're so important and so smart because they're doctors. And, it really makes me really pushes my buttons.
And by the way, we should note that like the other half of the healthcare profession is all saying at the same time, like, yeah, we're here, we're going to treat you if you get coronavirus, but people should go back to work, right? Yeah. Like, there's a lot of people, like the media.
One side is a lot more vocal than the other.
Yeah, but the media acts like all the healthcare profession is just saying the same thing when it's not. And also, yeah, you're right about that. I've heard a lot of doctors that have basically said, like, I think this is all BS, but I'm scared to speak out because it's like you cannot speak out against the lockdowns during all of this.
I've gotten a few DMs from like actual doctors. I looked into it. These people think it's all BS. It is, but we always have the elitists, the media hacks. It is what it is. But, we need to get out of this as soon as possible. I'm saying a lot. I don't know why. But we need to get out of this lockdown as soon as possible. And I think the only way is to kind of suppress the voices of the elitists. And I know that sounds really fascist, but that's not what I mean. I mean, we need to overlook the voices of the elitists, look at the facts, and realize, it's actually safe to open up in almost every part of this country. Maybe New York City might need a couple extra weeks. But, rural Illinois, rural Kansas, rural Iowa, rural California, and even many like more suburban and city areas, they can open, and we need to stop listening to these people and actually do our own research. These people are not the be all end all. Fauci is not the be all end all of coronavirus. No one is. So we just need to look at all the facts, what's working and what's not, and then do all of it. Look, Florida's completely open. They just have limited capacity at restaurants, limited capacity at gyms. Well, at least the businesses are open. Florida's consistently declining in cases and deaths per capita and deaths overall. And Florida, and we're going to talk about deaths. Here's the difference. Florida actually has 2 million more people than the state of New York. Florida has almost double the elderly population than the state of New York. Florida also has a way more diverse population than the state of New York. Lots of Latinos and lots of African Americans in Florida. And, we hear these things. Elderly people are almost certainly going to die if we open up. Not true in Florida. They have way more of them than New York. And Florida also has some very urban and metro areas, right? Yeah. Next thing you hear is minority communities are likely to get screwed by this. Not the case in Florida. They're open. And then the third thing we hear is like, oh, no, bigger places, like more population, you're gonna die. And that's just not true in Florida either. Same in Georgia and Texas. So a lot of this is a lie perpetrated by the media. And, at the beginning of this, I wasn't comfortable calling this a hoax, but this is a hoax.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that's the thing about like people like Dr. Fauci. So Dr. Fauci in the hearing this week, when Rand Paul grilled him, he admitted, I do not make decisions based off of economic or social, any other impacts. I'm just making giving you this advice based off of being a healthcare professional. That's the thing. The left seems to think that the only thing that matters here is the healthcare professional. Like, there are other aspects of the world. There are other aspects of the economy. Like, people need to get back to work. You cannot just listen to these scientists, because of course these scientists are going to say, well, we should play it safe and lock up forever, basically, until we have a vaccine. Of course the scientists are going to say that, because in theory, and I say in theory because a lot of states have opened up, have not really experienced dramatic increases in cases. But in theory, right, if we lock down everyone forever, we could save the most life. But that's not the only thing that matters here. True, but not true, right? True, but not true. Yeah. But that's the thing here. Like, since when do we close down society? Because there's risk. Like, anytime you enter human society, there is risk. Like, we could close down every flu season and we probably save a few more deaths from the flu, because there are deaths from the flu. But we saw it cause so much collateral damage. Hey, we could stop all deaths from car accidents if we close down all the roads, but no one is saying we're going to do that, right? Because there is risk when you go into society. And if you don't want to accept that risk, if you're scared of coronavirus, then stay inside, right? You can stay inside. No one's stopping you. But I have a serious problem when people turn to others and basically say, you need to stay home because I'm scared of this, right? When there's a lot of business owners, a lot of workers who would say, I'm willing to take the risk. I want to go back to work. Let them do that. Right? We're a country defined by individual choices, personal responsibility. You make the choice. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And the thing is, more people are going to die if we don't open up. Poverty cannot be the new normal. And also, I think a lot of people are also skipping the fact that immunity.
Herd immunity.
Coronavirus is not going to go away. So when we open up, everyone, there's still going to be holdovers, people that still have the virus or carriers of the virus. But instead, no one's going to be immune in any way to this virus. And it could spread even worse because we've been locked up for what, 8 weeks, almost 8 weeks. Actually, here maybe 10 weeks. 10 weeks of limited outside contact. We're actually becoming less immune to a lot of other things.
Yeah, that's true. Like
if the coronavirus.
When we reopen, if we keep this going on too long, when we reopen, there's going to be all these different diseases that are killing people because in society, I mean, that's how you build your immune system is by interacting with society. You touch all these things, you interact with pathogens, your immune system keeps going. No one's immune system is on right now. And so when we reopen, everyone's immune system is going to suck. And then where's your human life argument then? How's your human life argument doing, right?
Yeah, it's a horrible tragedy. There's a lot more in play. The Democrats don't care about the coronavirus. There's other motives here.
Yeah,
they seem like they could get a bunch of their leftist agenda points through at the city level, at the state level, and at the federal level. We can't let this happen. Everyone has to be at these protests. Everyone has to defy the stay-at-home orders, open their businesses, start going out. And these stay-at-home orders are over, whether the politicians like it or not.
Absolutely. And I think there's going to be mass protests at Eric Garcetti's house since he basically extended the coronavirus lockdown to like August.
Okay, you live in LA, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel? You have 3 more months at home.
No, screw that. I'm going to Ventura County, dude.
Really?
We just find stuff to do in Ventura County. Yeah, I'm not like freaking staying home for the whole summer. Like that's nonsense.
Horrible. I feel so bad for all the kids in LA. 3 more months of this horrible
and no 4th of July either, right? Like there's no 4th of July. Like I think that's what he's scared of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have no words for what Garcetti did there. LA is not even that bad compared to many other cities in the country. It's insane. But that's what you get with leftist politicians. You get insanity, craziness, and stupidity. So
yep. And I have no idea how the businesses are gonna open up again. Like how are they going to survive through this? Like there's no way
you will reopen. There's going to be nothing left to reopen.
LA is so expensive to begin with. Like these business owners cannot make it. Anyways, we're about an hour right now, so we're going to go on to our last segment of the night, and today's May 15th. Okay, and Aadi did not want me to do this segment, but I insisted that I would do this segment. Okay, today is the final day of the green versus purple alien war in Grand Theft Auto Online. They're all meeting tonight at Los Santos International Airport, and they're having like the ultimate brawl. I wonder how it's going, but Aadi, give me your 2 cents.
I'm part of the green gang in GTA. Green will reign supreme. We will kill all the purples. Green will win. Green is epic. Green is based. Purple is for beta males and leftists. The purple gang is going to suck and die. I literally don't know what to say about this, dude. I don't know what to say. But okay, what about you? What's your take on the GTA Online gang war?
I asked you to do that because I'm pulling up footage of the war right now for B-roll. Hold on, give me a second. All right, here we go. Let's share screen. Hold on. Okay, my thing's lagging, so that's fine. But anyways, okay. No, dude, I've seen so much propaganda though throughout all of this. I don't know if you've been on Snapchat, like SVG or whatever, but they're basically saying that the Greens all started this war and the purples are like evil, and the video's lagging like crazy, but that's fine. But they're basically saying like, oh, the purple are the good guys and the Greens are the bad guys. Like, okay, since when are the purples running the media? Like, I always knew that a bunch of liberal hacks that claim to be objective journalists run the media, but I never knew that it ran as deeply as the
GTA.
Green as GTA, right? As taking the purple side in the green versus purple war. Comment in the chat right now. Are you team purple? Are you team green? Or are you another gang, right? Because there's the Hazmat game, there's the Vagos. I don't recognize any of the other gangs. The other gangs are stupid except for the OGs. Okay, the OGs, that's the only other gang outside of the Greens that I recognize. But yeah, hopefully we will get this dub today. I'm sure of it. All right. The Greens will live forever.
Mhm.
Greens forever. Trump forever. Republicans forever. But yeah. Anyways, that wraps up all the segments we have for this week's show. So if you guys want to interact with us, Q&A in the comments, Q&A wherever, we can do that. I'm going to pull up the Instagram questions right now and read off of them, and we can just talk about them. So, but if you have questions right now in the chat, put them in the chat, and we will answer them. So I guess we'll start with that. Team Green, thank you. See, Hugh, okay, Aadi, you don't know this, but Hugh is like my most loyal follower. He comes to all my live streams, and he is Team Green. All right, he's Team Green. That is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so Tommy Waisaki from Instagram asks, why is it that Asian Americans feel oppressed in America?
They don't.
They don't. Exactly.
I don't know any Asian Americans that feel oppressed. We are the richest group on average. You know, the only oppression really is like we can't get into colleges as easy as everyone else.
Yeah.
But you know, we perform better educationally on average, economically on average, and in literally almost every other metric. I don't think any Asian Americans feel oppressed.
Well, I'll tell you what happens. So what happens is the immigrants come over from Asia, and they oftentimes they're escaping real oppression, right? So they come over and think America is like the greatest country ever. That's what happened with my family. But then the kids, it's the kids. The kids grow up in America. They go to school and they grow up in a pop culture where they're taught that all minorities are oppressed. And those are the Asians that feel oppressed. Those are they go to university, they learn all this communist nonsense, and they start to adapt these crazy beliefs. Like somehow, even though like my parents are super rich and I'm doing great in life, somehow I must be oppressed because that's what everyone around me basically tells me. Okay, Hugh asked TV show recommendations. Cobra Kai. You got to watch Cobra Kai. Okay, I make all these references to it. It's the extension of the Karate Kid trilogy from the 80s. Cobra Kai, best show. I don't know. What about you, Aadi?
Outer Banks is pretty good. I don't really watch TV that much. I watch a lot of like political. Like when I go when it's like late at night and I'm just sitting down and like just watch something. I never like go for Netflix or like a TV show. I always go for like Tucker Carlson clips or Ben Shapiro clips or like Donald Trump's savage top 10 savage.
That's true. I don't really watch TV that much.
Why is my dad commenting that I look oppressed?
Wait, what? We got to see this. Hold on.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean?
Hello,
would
Mr.
you like
Bhanti.
Would you like to elaborate a little bit more on what you mean that I look oppressed? Okay, but anyway, next question.
Okay, someone asked me, this was from last week, and I swore I would answer it this week. So, I'll let you answer first because my story is a little longer, but how did you become a conservative? Were you always a conservative? And if so, how did you like come into politics?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I was always a conservative. Bro, what? Why is everyone saying I look oppressed?
It's just your ugly mustache.
No, I'm being oppressed by JB Pritzker right now, bro. He won't let me go get a haircut. I don't want to say anything about haircuts. Otherwise, the elitist left will say that I only want to get a haircut. But yeah, I don't think I was always a conservative. I was always like cared a little bit about politics. But this really started in 2015, early 2015. I think I was like in seventh grade. And the election was starting, and I just fell in love with Ted Cruz. And then I kept reading and reading more about Hillary Clinton. I was like, dang, I hate this woman, bro. This woman is literally the devil on earth. Like, she is evil. I hate her. Okay, that's kind of how it started. It didn't really start out of my love for any Republican politician. It just started out of my hatred for Hillary Clinton. And then I did some more research, and I found Ted Cruz. I was the biggest Ted Cruz fan of all time. I love Ted Cruz. I want Ted Cruz to be president, maybe even right now. But I want Ted Cruz to be president in 2024 with Matt Gaetz as vice president. But, I fell in love with Ted Cruz, and then Trump comes along. I hated Trump for like two to 3 months. But then then the debates came about. And I started watching the debates, and he just dominated these people. He would not let them talk. He wouldn't let them get a word in. When they did, he would just shut them up right away. I mean, it was amazing. It was like, wow, maybe we need this, And then I started reading a little bit more about his platform, and haters will say that, he had no platform, but he did have a platform. It was
Yeah,
America.
he definitely had a platform. Yeah.
I've always been a really proud American, very patriotic. I was like, okay, this is my guy. And that's kind of how I became a Trump supporter. And then automatically I kind of aligned with the conservative ideology. I'm not saying Trumpism is conservatism. I'm saying that's kind of how I got introduced to the entire game. Then I started doing all this influencer stuff. I was bored, and like I had an argument with the teacher the day before, and I was like, whatever, dude, screw you. I'm going to write this blog. And I started the blog. I started an Instagram page, got like 400 followers in a month on Instagram, and like 30-ish thousand email list people on my blog, a lot of older people. And then from there, it just progressed, and here we are now.
Yeah. So, okay, my story actually dates all the way back to kindergarten. Okay. So in kindergarten, it was 2008. So we had a mock election, McCain, Obama, 2008. Right. And I voted for McCain. I didn't know why I voted for McCain. I just felt like
mine actually goes back further too, now that I think about it, but continue.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. So I voted for McCain that day, and I was like, I don't know. I just thought I liked McCain. Okay. So, but then comes around fourth grade, I was still Republican, I guess, because my grandma used to watch the news, and I would come home and basically sometimes I'd watch it with her, and I saw the presidential candidates. It was 2012. It was Romney, Obama. I didn't know anything about either candidate, but I was like, okay, Romney is saying lower taxes and Obama's saying higher taxes. Well, then why the heck would anyone want higher taxes?
No, I think it's actually that you're racist.
No, yeah, maybe it's that I'm racist, right? But I was like, okay, well, why shouldn't I support Romney? But then a liberal family member of mine, I'm gonna say, because I was in fourth grade, so easy to influence. Basically, I told her, I was like, no, I really like Romney, and she's a liberal, and she's like, no, here's why you guys support Obama, okay? And then she basically broke it down for me in like 5 minutes. I was in fourth grade, I didn't know what the hell to think, so I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I support Obama then. And so I was sort of non-political. I mean, I was so young, but then going into seventh grade, I guess I still kind of liked Obama a little bit, but I didn't really care for politics. But I used to watch late night shows, and I used to watch the political candidates on the late night shows. And Bernie Sanders came along, and I heard him say free college. And I was like, free college? What the hell? This guy's the best guy ever. Right? It's like not understanding anything else about politics. I was like, this Bernie Sanders guy is pretty cool. So we went in, I was on the team Bernie, and we were going into like early 2016. And I saw it was so freaking obvious that Hillary was a crook. And I actually was like one of the first people to say, this is so obvious. She's like screwing Bernie out of the election. Like this was before the Donna Brazile stuff came out. I was like, there's so much shady stuff with a lot of these elections. Like I remember the Brooklyn primaries, like they lost a bunch of ballots or something. I was just like, what the heck? Like this is wrong. I like basically by June, I was convinced that Hillary was the Antichrist. Like I hated Hillary so much back then that I couldn't believe it when Bernie endorsed her, because I was like, man, you literally just sold your soul. And so I was sort of disappointed in Bernie, but I was like, okay, whatever. So going into 2016, the general, my mentality was basically, okay, Hillary and Trump, I don't really like either candidate. But one of the big reasons I am pro Bernie is because he's anti-establishment, and Trump is definitely anti-establishment. So I guess I like Trump over Hillary, but I don't really like either candidate. But if Hillary loses, I'm going to say I told you so, because I was saying, hey, look, Bernie's the stronger candidate. So going into the general, Hillary loses. And I was like, I told you, like, I didn't care. I was just laughing. I was just laughing at all the liberals who were on Team Hillary. By the way, they were so annoying. Like Hillary voters were the worst. Okay. But I was just laughing at them. But then the second that a few days after election, Bernie Sanders got on board with the Russia collusion thing. Like it came out a few days after the election. And I was just like, are you serious? Like, and as I said earlier in the show, like it was just so obvious to see. You could so obviously see that this whole Russia thing was a nonsense political ploy. And from my point of view, it was obvious that like, heck, Hillary is the real one who cheated in an election, not Trump. So I was like, what the hell is this? So I was very disgruntled with politics for a while, but that sort of opened me up a little bit to like Trump a little bit more. Cause I was like, okay, my guy is selling out, open up a little bit more. Then it goes into my freshman year, and I wasn't really that into politics because I was sort of disgruntled with it all. But then March for Our Lives came around, and this was basically my re-entrance into politics. And I hadn't been in politics for a while, and I never really thought about the issue of guns before. So I just listened to both sides. And I listened, and I realized that these gun control people, make no freaking sense whatsoever. Like it's like what the hell are they talking? Like this, all of gun control is based on a logical fallacy. Like it's just stupid. So then I was like, you know what? These Republicans are right about a lot of stuff. Watched Tucker Carlson for like a few weeks. Realized I think I'm like actually pretty conservative. And then, but the thing is, this is the reason I started my page, was because I couldn't stop talking about it with my friends, and my family like didn't want to hear me just talk about politics. And I was like obsessed with this stuff. I was like, I can't believe I've been lied to for so many years that I needed somewhere to vent. And that's where I started my political page on Instagram in like August 2018. And that's where we are today. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to add some things. First of all, I really am glad that I was never a beta Bernie bro like you. But yeah, so fourth grade, sitting at the lunch table, we had a mock election in school. It was the day of the general election. Fourth grade, Romney versus Obama. And there's this kid named Alex Bertley, and he's a Trump supporter now, but he's a nice kid. And we're just sitting there at lunch and right before this mock election, which was at the end of the day. And he's like, yeah, guys, are you going to vote for Obama? He's going to be, he's the first black president, black president, black. I was like, what? Who cares if he's black? Like, why does that matter? Like, why does his race matter? And so I was one of the 7 people at my school that voted for Mitt Romney. And I don't even live in a liberal area. But like, these are fourth graders, first black president, teachers are usually liberal, whatever. I was one of the 7 people. Obama won like 400-7 in this school. Okay, like 400 something to 7 in the entire school. That just blew my mind. So I went after that lunch period and I voted for Mitt Romney. Didn't know anything about Mitt Romney. I just voted for him because I was like, no, I'm not voting for a dude just because he's black. Okay, now it makes me sound like I'm voting for him. I'm not voting for him because he's black. But like,
you're voting him because there were stupid arguments being made on the other side.
Why does it matter? Yeah. And then, okay. And then about Bernie. My 7th grade history teacher, super nice guy, really like him. I'm pretty sure he voted for Hillary in the general, but Bernie in the primary. When Bernie first came around, he would try to sell Bernie as like, he's fighting, his exact words, he's fighting for the average Joe, and he wouldn't shut up about it. And that really just made me very anti-Bernie, just from his comments. And I did some research. I was like, oh, wow, yeah, a history teacher, a world history teacher is telling us that socialism and communism is good. Well, maybe that's not a good sign. So I never liked Bernie. I always thought Hillary was evil and just a whack person. And that's kind of what drew me to the Republican Party.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of 7th grade, I had a 7th grade history teacher too. And actually, this is something that just sort of drove me into the arms of the right at a very young age when I was still progressive, because I was like a very like hardcore atheist back then. Like I was because I was like super progressive back then. So I was like very critical of religion, right, in general. But then she was one of those like PC liberals. And so she taught us world history. She taught us the whole first semester and half of the second semester, literally only about Islam. And the reason she said she was doing it was because she wanted to like destigmatize the ideas in society around Islam. Okay, like I was just looking at this like, what? And then So I basically wrote a blog, right? Because we had these assignments where we had to write a blog. All I basically said back then was, I was sort of critical of the religion, but I was sort of just critical of religion in general. And I said stuff
religion as well.
I said stuff like I said the question, the stupid prompt, something like, is Muhammad a prophet or not? And I said basically I didn't believe that Muhammad was like divine or whatever. And she gave me a bad grade. She gave me a bad grade because I basically was sort of critical of Islam, but I was doing that from like a super atheist left-wing position of, well, religion is not that good. But then I did it again. We did another post, and every time I disagreed with her on anything based on Islam, she would give me a C. And all my other assignments, I got an A, and I put the same amount of effort. And I was like, what the hell is this? So, but yeah, that was like one of the things where I was like, okay, this PC nonsense is nonsense. Like I was so against PC culture back then. And that was one thing I respected about the right, was because like they didn't give a crap about this crap. Like they didn't come out after a terrorist. Every time a terrorist attack came out, they refused to say the word radical Islamic terrorism because we don't want to start a religious war. There already was a religious war going on, right? It's not going to stop that from happening. But yeah, that's an early story of mine.
Yeah, that's the one thing that really just like makes my blood boil. Is the fact that you can't even say Islam without getting attacked, especially in a school. You can be in a history class and, they're teaching the 5 tenets of Islam, whatever, but conveniently gloss over all the violent verses in the Quran. And I have no problem with Muslim people. Great. Everyone has good and bad people. I think we can both agree on that. I just think there's some fundamental flaws in the way it's perceived on a broad scale. You can say it's a small percentage of the population, but the fact of the matter is, only a small percentage is taking action, but the beliefs are held by millions.
Yeah, statistically speaking, like 99% of the population in Afghanistan believes in the forced implementation of Sharia law. I mean, that's
a problem.
Yeah,
when I see things like Sharia law, in Irving, Texas, they put forward a motion to put Sharia law in Irving, Texas. When you see this stuff coming to America, you don't want it here. And if that gets me labeled as Islamophobic, so be it. But Islam is like the one untouchable thing. Like you cannot call out Islam in any way, or you're done. Same with gay people or anything else. And I genuinely have no problem with any of those things. Just the deeper meanings behind it.
It's just that like you cannot start dialogue about any of these issues and like not get attacked. Like look at Bill Maher. Bill Maher has been very critical of like not so much Islam itself, but the way it's practiced by a lot of sects of the world. Right? That's what he's critical of. Like it is brewing extremism. And I remember like back in 2015, he got like canceled because him and Sam Harris, the two furthest left people ever, were just being critical of religion, but the religion was Islam, and then suddenly it's a problem. It's like I don't understand it whatsoever. But okay, Hugh asks, what are your opinions of Nixon? You want to go first?
Yeah, well, Nixon did some okay things, but he really made a huge problem for us. The war on drugs. Absolute L. Like Nixon, bro, like why did you have to do that? That caused so many problems. It makes my debates so much harder. Like screwed so many minority communities. The war on drugs sucked. First, he was a little corrupt. I think he was overall like decent in most of what he did, but like the war on drugs, man, that really just like ruined so many people's lives for absolutely no reason.
Well, and he got rid of the gold standard. He created the Environmental Protection Agency, which is I'm not a big fan of, but also like just his handling of Vietnam. And I think we should have tried to pull out of Vietnam, but the way he handled that was just awful. Like he basically pulled out when it was politically convenient instead of when we actually won the war. And you could say, oh well, he needed to get reelected, and I guess okay, whatever. But to look back, you cannot look back and say that was a good thing. It was not. We were not ready to pull out of Vietnam, and we were very close to victory actually. If we had just stayed in a little bit longer, we would have been fine, but it was just bad. What do you think of Gerald Ford? Back-to-back questions. Very interesting.
It asks you what you think. I have really no strong opinions on Gerald Ford.
I don't know enough about his presidency. What I do know is that he lacked the personality to like become president, and that's why he lost to Jimmy Carter. 100%. And that's why Reagan sort of punked him at the RNC in 1976, and that's why Reagan basically won in 1980. He just lacked personality. I don't know that much about his policy, but he definitely lacked personality. 100%. Have you taken the political compass test? And if so, where are you?
Yeah, I've taken the political.
It's a bad test, by the way. It's written by far leftists.
Yeah.
And the premises of the questions are very stupid, but go ahead.
That's why I've taken all three. I've taken the 8 values, the 9 axis, and the political compass test. Basically, I fall like right in the middle of authoritarian and libertarian on social issues. And then I fall very far right on economic issues. Protectionism, economic nationalism, and I'm proud to say that I'm an economic nationalist, populist. I think free trade is horrible. Mostly free trade sucks. Free trade sucks, and that's really represented in my political compass test. So I'm like here, like the 4 axis.
Yeah.
I'm like here. Wait, here. Wait, here. Okay, it's like messed up, but yeah.
I forgot where I am, but I'm like, okay, I'm the same, basically neutral with the libertarian authoritarian thing, which is very stupid on the political compass test because they ask stupid questions to gauge that. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and my school, my kid's school should have religious values. Like, what the hell does that have to do with your political ideology? Those are personal beliefs, right? But yeah, I think I'm like, if you put the right wing axis, I'm like 60% right wing, like on that scale axis. But yeah, that's where I am.
What about up and down, man? That's what matters. Libertarian versus authoritarian.
I think I'm like 0.1 libertarian. Nice, so I'm basically neutral. Yeah.
That's what I like to hear, Yeah, but like most of libertarian is pretty shitty, to be honest. But like some of the like social principles are fine.
Yeah.
That's I follow the middle over there, but very far right on economics.
Actually, I did a rant on my story about this that I guess I could talk about. Like, I think that the problem I have with libertarianism as compared to conservatism is it's almost that like libertarianism is too ideologically consistent in that there are just some principles that I just cannot get on board with, like this Austrian idea of basically totally free good of movement of goods and labor across borders, which is basically unlimited free trade, no tariffs, no trade restrictions whatsoever,
And open
basically
borders.
and open borders, right? And that's, well, sure, it maximizes economic growth, but like I'm a nationalist. I think America is unique. Like I don't think we should just. I don't think we can make what you would end in the end create is like one world government. More or less, right? Because there would be countries.
It's a direct path to communism. Because what the communists say is we need to have a global epoch in one government and one currency. That's what it turns into. So the libertarians that are anti-big government actually just want a bigger government.
Yeah. I mean, like the social issues, I mainly agree, but stuff like gun rights, small government, limiting federal spending. I mean, those are tenets, I would say, of conservatism, because those are tenets our country was founded off of. So if you're trying to conserve the country, you'd be conserving. But stuff like unlimited, basically free trade around the world, and we'll probably do at some point where we like really talk about this in detail. But I'm not a fan of the libertarian views on free trade and basically open borders immigration, and that's why I consider myself a conservative and not a libertarian. Okay, I think this is all the questions we have in the chat. Anything else? Anything you want to talk about, Aadi?
T-pose. No, I just wanted to say that violate your lockdowns, guys. If you own a business, open it, take the fines, eat, live free or die. Pay the fines, stop being a loser, open your business, eat the cost, no matter what it takes, and eventually it'll pay off in the end. It's worked. Civil disobedience worked for the civil rights movement. It worked for Gandhi in India. It worked for so many people. So just disobey the laws. Disobey, not the laws. Disobey the executive orders, which actually hold no value in a real court of law. But do whatever you want. Don't listen to them.
By the way, the civil disobedience has worked in this country because we've had protests, and I talked about this last week. We've had places where there's protest, and then the Democrat governor eases up or just totally removes their restrictions. Like these protests are actually working.
Mm-hmm. Like Wisconsin. Protested so far, and then the court case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and everyone's like, "Oops!" But I know he's a Republican, but yeah, do whatever you need to do. Survive. Don't go into poverty. Other than that, I really don't have much else to say. Wait, Vince, can you clip the doctors are elitist thing for me?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
I can clip anything for you.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right, last question here. Donald Trump Jr. 2024.
No.
Fire session. No.
No.
I he's not my first choice, but I definitely support him in the general. Like
he should be no one's first choice, bro. Yeah, I'd support him in the general, obviously, against Biden. I mean, wait, not Biden, like whoever it is. Yeah. Like, dude, Trump Jr. is not half the leader that his dad is. And we honestly need someone a little bit more, Ted Cruz, Matt Gaetz, especially Matt Gaetz. But, no political legacy has ever been good. It doesn't matter like how far apart or how close together they are. They all suck. So just don't fall for that trap again. And Don Jr. is super cool.
I love him.
Guy. Yeah, he's nice, but like, no.
Yeah, I don't know about that. All right. Is that all we got in the chat right now? All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Aadi, thank you for co-hosting with me because I took my A-Push exam today and I'm not I don't think either of us have the energy to do a solo stream right now because we're just so freaking sleepy.
What was your prompt?
I can't talk about the prompt, dude. We are on a live stream. What is the matter with you, Aadi? Get off this stream. Kicking you off. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. No, you're not coming back in. You're not coming back in. All right, get out. No. All right. Thank you guys for watching the stream. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.